Helping people.
Changing lives.
Helping people.
Changing lives.
Helping people.
Changing lives.
Thank you to my Community Action family for all the work that you do in helping people and changing lives. Thank you to all Community Action agencies that have come up here from all over the state. Thank you to all of you who speak out for social justice. Thank you for echoing the cries you hear from those whom we serve and fight for with compassion, commitment, and courage every day. We are gathered here today because the time has come for us to loudly speak out and reject poverty as a standard statistical indicator of life. We are here today to call for the freedom of thousands of families in Illinois that have found themselves in the bondage of poverty. We are here today to demand economic and social justice for those who are being denied the opportunity to fulfill the American dream because they cannot afford to pay their utility bills, afford prescription drugs, and find decent, safe, and affordable housing. We are here today to demand that policymakers and elected officials put people first as they deliberate over our nation's budget. We have an opportunity to effectively reduce poverty in this nation and this world. Even though poverty is on the rise in America, these are times in which the world boasts breathtaking advances in science, technology, and wealth accumulation. We are indeed blessed when we're bestowed the awesome task of assisting the least of these, our brothers and sisters, come out of the dredges of poverty into a life of dignity, self-wealth, and self-sufficiency. We are indeed blessed if we are in a position to speak out for the powerless and the voiceless. Our actions on this earth will be judged not based on what we accomplished for ourselves or the powerful, but what we accomplished for those whom society has marginalized because of economic, social, and political reasons. Even though poverty has been around since biblical times, it is a condition which is created and sustained by mankind. Therefore, its eradication and amelioration can only be done through the actions of mankind. I am reminded of why we are all part of this community action movement. Ours is a calling to improve and change the human condition for the better. As the President stated in one of his speeches, we are the ones we have been waiting for. It is now time to roll up our sleeves and do what we know how to do best, which is helping people and changing lives. We need to understand that no political party or economic system can meet the needs of those at the economic margins of our society unless those who control and influence those political and economic processes have had their hearts transformed. These are indeed tough times, but they are tougher for the most vulnerable of our population. As Congress begins to deliberate over next year's budget, we ask that our voices be heard from Peoria to Washington, D.C. We demand the protection of our families and communities. We will fight to save community action. That is why we say no cuts to the community services block grant funding. That is why we say no LIHEAP funding cuts. That is why we say no cuts of programs and services that protect our families and our communities. How can we expect families who are already struggling in this tough economy to make it if we cut their social safety net? How can we hope for a stronger and prosperous America when we neglect our own during their times of need? How can we invest in our future if we do not invest in our people? We need to remind our leaders and decision makers that it is morally reprehensible to balance the budget on the backs of poor people. We need to remind them that it is unacceptable to reduce the deficit while putting our seniors at risk. We need to remind them that our troubled economy will not be solved by only focusing on Wall Street and Main Street, but that we need to focus on the back streets of America too. Nelson Mandela said, like slavery and apartheid, poverty is not natural. It is man-made, and it can be overcome and eradicated by the actions of human beings. And overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity. It is an act of justice. It is the protection of a fundamental human right, the right to dignity and a decent life. While poverty persists, there is no true freedom. Thank you very much. Helping people. Helping people. And next, we're going to have Mr. Art Welch, the Vice President for Community Development for PCCEO. Thank you.
I want to just talk about very briefly the dollars and cents of what's going to be affected by the proposed cuts. In 2010, the CSBG program received $1,469,000 to provide services to the residents of Peoria County. That included some stimulus dollars. In 2011, our funding is now down to $539,000, and of the proposed cuts, if we receive a 50% cut, we're talking about only $268,000 to provide for people here in Peoria County. That is not going to be a very good situation for us. As Delizzo has so eloquently pointed out, it is not the time now to balance the budget on the backs of the very people that need the help the most. This is not the time. If you figure out what the cuts would be if you on domestic spending, it's not even 1/2 of 1% of the budget. This is all political show. Tough cuts are going to have to be made. Yes, we've got a deficit problem. The people that I work with, and you people in the audience, we know that cuts are going to have to be made, and the balanced budget is something that is necessary for it to take place. But it does not have to be done solely on the backs of poor people. That is wrong, and we will fight that all the way.
Yeah.
I think we need to personalize this fight. These are not just dollars and cents. This is somebody's mother, somebody's brother, somebody's father, somebody's child, a disabled veteran, a senior, a child. This country is headed in the wrong direction, my friends. If you don't take care of your seniors and educate your children and take care of your veterans, what really are you all about? Think about that. How can we be great? We can't be great. This is one of the greatest economic powers in the world. But this country is heading down the road where the country itself will no longer be great. We'll be good, but we won't be great anymore. You can't say that if you don't take care of the ones that need the help the most. Thank you.
In Peoria County, we have over 20,000 families that live in poverty or below the poverty guideline. During the year of our program year of 2010, we served 10,000 households. With the proposed budget cuts for 2012, we would only be able to serve 5,000 households. That's cutting the number of families that we were able to provide energy assistance in half. I've met seniors who've had to choose between paying their utilities or paying their rent, pay their utilities or purchasing food, and it is not fair to our seniors to have to balance, to decide whether they should eat or pay their utilities or pay their rent. There was a customer last year whose furnace went out in their home, and even though we put a new furnace in her home, she still closed every door in her home and used a space heater to heat one room where she cooked and had a little refrigerator because she didn't want to have the responsibility of paying a high utility bill. You know, these aren't stories, these are real people that we see every day working here in community action. So it is up to us to keep our dream alive by helping people and changing lives.
Right.
I'm sure that all of you have been hearing about the hunger that is facing the nation. We belong to an organization called Feeding America, and Feeding America serves over 36 million people throughout the United States, and 14 million of that 36 are children. So as a food bank, you know, we're on the front line and we see all kinds of poverty. The agencies are reporting an increase in the amount in the number of clients they're serving. This summer they saw many homeless people, and it's really, really very sad. And while all the numbers, the money numbers seem to be going down as far as funding, you know, our access to funding, our numbers are going up because people are hungry. So we really, really need to concentrate on feeding the people that are in need. Thank you.
I'm here to speak on the behalf of the Foster Grandparent Program and tell you what it means to the foster grandparent. It means the difference of an elderly person being able to live in their homes or choose to move out of their homes. That's a big meaning. Also, it means a lot for most of our foster grandparents. It's for the mentality. We don't have to sit in our homes, worry about whether we eat or whether we pay our medicine bills or whether we just get sick from just stress, from just sitting there thinking. Community Action Agency is a very powerful and very important agency. It helps the foster grandparents to get out of their homes, be able to go, help the younger people who the little fellows are in the community. It gives us a sense of feeling that we are giving back to the community. We're teaching the young who is one day going to grow up and live out in this community. So it's a big thing that foster grandparents, it seems like they're not doing anything, but when you walk into a classroom and some of you have children and their little faces light up when they see the grandparent come in, that's a soul feeling that goes to the heart. And it also helps. It helps us mentally. When you're helped mentally, that keeps us out of the doctor's office, which means it's going to be, you're either going to pay one way or the other because you're going to be paying for us to go to the doctor. So when we get our mentality under control, our nerves under control, we're happy. And when we are happy, we are healthy. Thank you. We are speaking on behalf of the foster grandparent. To everyone that has supported us in the past, we really appreciate it. I speak for all of the foster grandparents. We're asking you to please search your heart and continuously support this program. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. One more time. Helping people. Helping people. Helping people. Thank you very much.